The sponsor of tonight's episode, Red Pill Threads, dares to go where few others will.
Perfect for the proud libertarian or anti-statist. Their designs are loaded with deeper meaning and hard forbidden truths. They hate the government more than you.
Their shirts are an act of defiance, rebellion against liberal agenda, corrupt government, psychopathic oppressors, and the status quo. We're fighting back.
Their shirts are the weapons on the front line of this war. When you wear them, you're gearing up for combat, and you boldly shout, "We will not lose this war without a fight."
And we won't lose. We'll keep fighting until we win.
Are you ready to fight?
The main reason we hooked up with Red Pill Threads is they put their money where their mouth is by donating 20% of their proceeds to rotating charities, most specifically aimed at helping child and human trafficking.
So visit their website at www.redpillthreads.com and join us in the fight.
Welcome, fellow lushes. Come on in, pull up a bar stool, and enjoy some cocktails with Dimples and the Beard.
I won't bring it out.
It's fine where it is. It's fine.
I need better than 5.
It's fine where it here. I'll let you do your little thing. Have fun.
People have been.
Have fun. I'll just edit it out. I don't give a shit.
No, I'm not. I've had people come to my office and sabotage.
Sabotage. What do they do to it? Do they fuck it? Well, that's not sabotaging the trophy. That's just putting a note on it.
That's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. I went to HR and we're doing
It's not.
hand analysis.
Hand analysis? Why would you semen analysis? You know, whoever did it came on it.
I knew it was Andy. That fucker. I knew it was Andy.
That looks like a Corey thing to me. No, actually, that's Cunningham's handwriting.
Well, he was my first suspect.
It's his handwriting. 1000%. I've seen his handwriting a million times.
I love it.
That's his fucking handwriting. Yeah, you can tell us that. So,
I will, because he keeps trying to pawn it up.
so what? You just come on. Let's do this. What was that? Where was that? Show the people. You love showing the people stuff. Show the people. Show the people. You have my oh god, here he is. Don't show that.
It's so big, I smacked myself in the head with it.
Welcome back to another episode of Cocktails with Dimples in the Beard. And I think if any episode
Championship edition.
that should be on the table because we have most probably our smartest guest of all time who will definitely be impressed with your fantasy football wherewithals. MIT trained. I gotta read the big words. Organic chemist and neuroscientist. Doctor
She'll be dumping her man.
Jessica
She sees this.
Gold. Wow.
I need to go after that man.
Bye. Made a mistake, son. You know what? I was like, I'll give you a little. You tried to take a lot.
You said put it out.
That's not. No, I said take it out. Show it. Take it
But
out.
after that, you were like, put it.
You know, you can't just leave it out for the whole episode.
I like to.
You gotta put it away, otherwise we get in trouble.
It's fine with that.
Did you see the? I watched the Alex Rosen video today of the dude in Huntsville, Alabama, that got body slammed by the cop. It was so good. That cop, the dude decides to take up and run from a picnic table. He doesn't get 10 yards, and the cop is like, then he's on the ground going with the old George Floyd. I can't breathe. And the cop was like, I don't have any weight on you. Like you can see, there's nothing. And the guy's like, you're breaking my arm. He's like, I'm not touching your arm. Ah, so good.
Further shows
If you are
how stupid these people are.
If you are not, look, here's what I gotta say. I am we are a locals member for Alex Rosen. And that video today was worth the fucking price because you people on YouTube ain't gonna see the body slam because YouTube won't let them show it.
I didn't see it.
So
I didn't go look today.
So good. I sent them a message. I'm like, dude, that was a good one. And the cops were so good. He says down there in Alabama, they're all like every time they get somebody down there. So, but that cop, he's just this big yoke. And this dude's just like this little
We're
fucker.
gonna laugh this much. Oh, the tavern was open.
And he tries to run and he
That's awesome.
Alex he takes off to run. It's just like, oh, just starts. You can see, you know, from what you're looking at, it is not going to end well. This guy is not getting away.
Nice. Alex, keep it up, buddy. Keep it
Uh,
up. Thank you so much for what you do.
And Courtney.
And Courtney. but-
Courtney just did.
Talking
Courtney just
about-
got another one. So near
Yeah.
home.
You know, it's I don't want to preach, but they should not be in business, but thank you for what you do. And
Courtney had to go the nice guy route with the guy she caught.
uh,
He looked like a fucking serial killer. He was like just staring at her the whole time like this. And she thought she saw how he's basically staring at her tits the whole time. And everything he answers, he's just like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? This guy will kill you.
fucking creep till the end.
Yeah.
He's gonna go in it. Yep, there it is. Oh my god.
He left his own child home with his sick father to come out to meet up with the 13-year-old that he found out. So thank you, Courtney and Chris.
Thank you.
And Chris.
One at a time. That's all you can do. One at a time.
I'm definitely fully backed in the rabbit hole of the Predator. I got kind of got out of it for a second or two, but you get sucked back in with some of these good ones.
We're obviously laughing not at the situation, but we're we're laughing at the idiots that are.
Yeah, not laughing why they have to do it. Obviously, it sucks that they have to do it, but I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I don't give a shit if somebody wants to yell at us for laughing about it. I don't.
how high are you?
On a scale of 1 to 10 right now, about a 6.5.
Because I'm pretty sure I just looked after you had me go up and switch that. I'm pretty sure I'm further my way than I was before I switched. When you told me to go your way.
Are you gonna go my way? Well, go move it some more, motherfucker. I don't give a shit. No, yeah, we're not.
Yeah, pretty sure we are.
Look, if I fucking sit here like you all fucking, then we're.
Pretty sure.
I don't care. Turn it.
Oh, I don't either. It's just funny. Yeah.
You did. You definitely moved it more. So I was just really bad the first time. It didn't get farther.
There's just so much white next to me.
Well, but that's because you don't have anything on your fucking side.
I know. We got to get it there, but
Nope, wrong. Okay, yep. Okay. Yeah, usually I think we have that whole picture in frame. Right? We have this whole picture in frame most of the time.
most of the time. So that just goes to show you, and we like to show the bar. We just prove that, yeah, we need to get more stuff from our guests. Get there.
Well, and we need more
Good
headshots. We got 4 spots for headshots.
We're getting there. We got to get back to
Talking to you,
Little
Brandy
help.
Roderick. Talking to you, Victoria Fuller.
those beautiful
Those are-
thing up there.
Those are 2 that said, but you know, they're big. I get it.
They're
but-
busy. They're
but-
coming.
But yeah, they're still on the thing.
It's in the mail.
Yeah.
That's mail. It's real.
It is. Yeah. Who
these
uses
days.
that shit? Man, they should have just emailed them, just print them
Okay.
out ourselves.
But we will get. Yeah, we'll have to get some good ones. From upcoming guests, got exciting stuff coming up.
You got a robot over there? What's happening over there? Your kid is a fucking high class.
She does awesome,
Yeah, that is a really good drink.
Oh.
So,
but she takes the time and makes that syrup that she has. Syrup.
right. Yeah, it's very good. You should open a bar.
She should.
Yeah, you should fund it.
I should back it.
Cocktails with
We've talked
Dimple
about it.
Kid.
Yeah.
Or just
They give us a place to set up a studio there.
can we drink for free? No, you can't drink for free.
That'd
Bad
be
business.
a profit.
That's bad business, motherfucker.
But we can write it off.
Yeah, how would that work?
Or just. I don't know. I'll fund her.
Fund her and find out.
All right, so we've got.
You know, the
another-
whole fuck around and find out thing.
Yeah.
I guess I should have said fund around, and find out. That would have made more sense.
So
Push it up.
let's do a couple. I was gonna say, let's bring up a couple things. Elephants in the room.
Push it up. This has already been unveiled.
It's gonna be a sweep the country. It's gonna be a new phenomenon. And you're welcome.
That's a joint for an exclamation point.
How clever is that? How clever is that? We all know. Not now, but you will. Shoot up.
Hooch it up will be,
Hooch it up.
that's probably gonna be Urban Dictionary's word of the year. Hooch it up. You watch, not skibbity,
Gotta have, that's on my
Not-
manifesto goal.
not ribs. Not,
I'm visioning right now. Thank you.
parked, not based, not,
I have no idea what you're talking about. And
stigma riz.
the other thing is
All these new things. You don't know any of this? You don't know skibbity?
lineage. Lineage.
Lineage.
Look at that.
That right there, that's our 100,000. They've changed.
Legit.
YouTube has changed. That's the 100,000. Maybe I'll subscribe eventually. Black.
That's shows that we are too legit. Too legit to quit.
We're five. This is the five. This is the
legit to quit.
5% present for the 100,000 subscriber plaque. Because we just recently had 5,000 subscribers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't forget them.
Thank you. Thank you.
He had permission before the show started to do that. So
Trump's back, baby.
he had permission.
Trump,
If he didn't have if he didn't have he had permission. He had permission.
Trump's back, baby.
If he didn't,
Do you think
it's fake news. Fake news. If
If you-
he didn't,
if you can grab him by the pussy, can you grab him by the boobs too? I would assume. I mean, that seems less of a fiasco.
if she's gonna allow him to one, she'll allow him.
So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, yeah.
I like to take it away from the main thing of this.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, YouTube. This episode.
The one time we're gonna thank you, YouTube. And look at that. Look at that. We will display it for you.
Until it breaks, because it's a cheap piece of shit, and it probably only lasts an episode or two.
To be fair, if it breaks, it's because he's gonna spill a drink on it and it's gonna short out. So that's gonna be how it goes to hell.
There's a chance of that. Can't deny that. Look at, there's a puddle right here. That's for you, Mrs. Roar. R.I.P. We had a this is really mean, but she's dead. We had a teacher in middle school she was on the large side. And no, it's not irrelevant because it explains why she would have giant pit stains all the time. And why her nickname became Puddles. Anyway, I'm sorry, Mrs. Roar.
R.I.P. Puddles. Sorry, Puddles.
So when it rains, that means she
Yeah.
worked out that day.
I did.
Go! She's got a
I
huddle.
was gonna say, how do you know when Mrs. Puddles walk by? Anyways, well, since Mrs. Puddles isn't gonna subscribe, go ahead and subscribe,
Mr. Puddle.
Mr. Puddle. There you go. We shout out to your lady. Let's give us a like, subscribe, and comment, please,
Great.
about everything we just mentioned. We'd appreciate to have a little counteraction. Go check us out. Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, all that good stuff. And let's not keep Pretty Lady waiting.
Really, really intelligent lady. Probably the most intelligent guest we've had. I don't want to disparage it, but when you hear
including the host.
when you hear her credentials, you will know. You're talking to Dr. Jessica Gold. You don't salute
You
a
don't-
doctor.
How do you do that?
Hello, gentlemen.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are y'all?
Very good. I was just saying in our little intro that we do that this is going to be like episode 180 something, and I am pretty certain, based on academics, you are the smartest guest we've ever had. So we apologize if we're
We apologize for the next hour of what comes out of our mouth.
For having to explain and re-explain. Let's start. So you are Dr. Jessica Gold, an MIT trained organic chemist and neuroscientist turned what are we, sex scientist at this point?
Yeah, you could call me that. A relationship coach, sex scientist, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Tantric scientist?
Sometimes I've called myself a tantric scientist. Yes.
So it's tantric. Tantric. Is that what I'm getting out of this?
We're in Wisconsin, so here it's tantric.
I blew it right away.
You can say tantric.
Yeah. I guarantee you, everybody in our state says it that way. So,
Well, I'm
So
gonna
let's-
change now.
let's start at the beginning. How do you get into organic chemistry and neuroscience?
Oh,
Whoa.
well. You know,
How about this? Where do you want to begin? That seemed
I think
like we took a big leap, it seemed like for you.
that's a great question. Nobody asks me that usually.
Oh. Everybody
So-
just wants to get to the sex right away. We are true gentlemen. We like to converse before the sex.
I like that. And you two seem to have a lot of fun, and I appreciate that.
We try.
Well, honestly, it was because I failed as a rocket scientist.
Seriously.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Well, no. Let's back up. Let's explain that. In your eyes, or like you're fired from your job as a rocket scientist?
You know the Challenger? That was me. Oops. That was they can't. That was way before your time. You're good.
Ow.
yeah, I wasn't in college yet. I wasn't graduated yet when Challenger happened. Let's just put it that way. Well, I had dreams of building space shuttles. I don't know. I just watched too much Star Trek growing up. And but when I went to MIT and I started doing physics and wanted to get into course 16, which is aeroastroengineering, I actually was terrible at physics.
Okay. I get that.
Is that important to your job?
And
I mean,
it
to be fair, physics is important to sex science, right? So
luckily
you came around.
I came around, yeah. But I was at MIT and I had always had these dreams of being like an engineer, a physicist, and I had to figure out what else should I do. And so I was taking, in the first year, you take a bunch of science classes and math, and I really loved organic chemistry.
Sure.
It was like a language, it was like a dance. It was this beautiful way that molecules fit together, and I excelled at it, and I thought, well, I'll do that instead.
Okay. And then added
Good
on
call.
neuroscience.
Yeah, I was on the fence because I really liked studying brains too. And I ended up having a minor in neuroscience. And then I did my postdoctoral fellowship in a neuroscience lab, like after my PhD. So it was always a theme in there too.
Sure.
Okay, now I'm going to get to the intelligent questions.
Good luck. We'll let her be the judge. I'm guessing not.
Well, we'll find out. So, do you prefer Star Trek over Star Wars? Is that what I'm hearing
Oh.
here?
How much hate mail am I gonna get?
Only from my daughter. That's a different story.
Look, everybody will put the comments on the podcast. You won't have to see them. But we will defend you no matter the answer.
There is no wrong answer.
It's interesting. Honestly, I grew up loving Star Trek.
Mhm.
However, once I started studying Tantra, I read that George Lucas was actually influenced by Tantra, and the Force is not dissimilar from tantric understandings of working with energy.
Interesting.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So with that, let's go into Tantra, because that's a good segue into Tantra and what it is. I think for me,
And let us not continue on with the Star Wars.
yeah, we talk enough Star Wars. I don't.
All right. And I love the Mandalorian. So hopefully that redeems
You
myself.
just saved yourself.
You're 100% fine. We will. I just was gonna ask. So is it the old Star Trek or the new movies that got you into it, being your age?
Well, I grew up with the Next Generation, so I loved Jean-Luc Picard. He's such a great example of a captain, I think. Except that he was strangely sexless, which is too bad. It was like you couldn't integrate like real masculine desire with the rest of his awesomeness, and that's too bad. Um,
Captain Kirk took it all.
He did.
right.
He was boning the aliens.
Yeah.
You go, Chris.
I
He did
I
not
liked the
discriminate
movie.
against purple, red, green. He did not care. So
right?
for
So
our, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
lots of different great archetypes in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's people. I mean, Star Wars seems to dominate it, but I hear a lot of Star Trek fans as well. So
100%. And I mean, obviously, this shows the original show's a classic, and obviously, it was a big influence for George Lucas. So you gotta love it.
why can't we just all get along? Why can't we like both of them?
Well,
All right, can we talk about Tantra now? Yeah, I know. I've already changed it. I'm good. So I think for me, my first introduction to Tantra was Sting. And in the 90s when Sting was, it was kind of a goofed on thing because Sting was talking about how he could have sex for 9 days straight or whatever the claims were. And people
Right.
were like, what is the crazy guy talking about? Just keep singing songs. So what is Tantra?
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. Have you talked about this on your show before?
I don't think we had, no.
no, if anything, we made fun of it, or not made fun of it, but we brought it up as a joke, but never talked about it seriously.
Yeah,
Like
great.
maybe
Okay.
a Sting reference or something.
She was so close to the click off button there.
No, well, okay, so I will tell you, I have a lot to say about it, so just interrupt me. If
No,
it's-
we're gonna let you go.
Yeah.
The more you say, the better, because we're learning.
Okay, so when most people think of Tantra, what they're actually thinking of is American Tantra. I call it Neo Tantra, but it was essentially created in America in the last 150 years. And this is a practice that is mostly focused on unshaming sexuality. It's focused on, better sex, better orgasms, reintegrating pleasure as a force for good in our lives, and better intimacy and connection with your partner.
Who
Yeah,
doesn't want all that?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that, coming from our Puritan culture and what religion did to the Western world, which was to shame and cut off this part of our lives, Americans are hungry, and rightly so, for a different approach. Part of the issue, though, is that we had to like clothe it and claim that it was like an ancient Eastern spiritual practice in order for us to give ourselves permission to practice it. But actually,
Was it a matter of somebody going, hey, the Kama Sutra is working, let's just make it look like it's something like that? Is that kind of what you're
yeah,
Okay.
right. And the Kama Sutra has nothing to do with Tantra.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a tantric text in the Indian tradition. It's from a different tradition.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's okay. Like, I think at this point it's done. There's a lot of good that comes from focusing on sexuality, focusing on different positions, and giving ourselves permission to play and explore. Like, we really need that because a lot of suffering in relationships comes from not being able to talk about sex, not having any sex, and
100%,
thinking that you're really weird or whatever problem you have, nobody else has.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we're-
cause
So not like he had mentioned with Sting. I mean, I think if you were to ask most people, they would say Tantra sex. Sex is
You don't,
I
you
can
don't
have
have to say it like who was it? The dude from Ferris Bueller?
the misconception is I have a boner for 24 hours,
oh, ouch.
and we just have sex for 24 hours. That's kind of isn't that what Sting said? He used
9 days, I think I said.
you said 9 days, but I'm pretty sure it was just like 24 hours.
Well, I think he mentioned 8 hours. Um,
Even
but
that,
Look at that.
good for you, Sting.
so
4 hours ago, you should have gone to the emergency room.
the radical idea of American neo tantra is this idea that sex doesn't have to center around procreation or ejaculation. That instead of being goal oriented, it can be process oriented. And the whole experience is sex. Like whether it's foreplay or pausing or meditating together or massage, like you're creating a sexual experience that can go on for a long period of time. And instead of having a linear progression of first you kiss, then you do foreplay, then you do intercourse, then you orgasm, and then you go to sleep, you give yourselves permission to change it up and have a lot of fun and move those building blocks around.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, it's not necessarily like 8 hours of intercourse, right? Americans have enshrined intercourse
Phew.
as the thing that is sex.
Right.
Yeah, but Tantra gives you permission to get curious, to mess it up, to not get it right, to pause, to do different things, to learn together, to collaborate instead of performing and driving toward a goal.
Without any shame or without any that didn't work. So what? We'll just try something else.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like being really nerdy about sex and and approaching it as a scientist. Like I used to approach my experiments in lab, you know?
Yeah.
When I would go to chem lab every day, what happened? Well, mostly my experiments failed over and over again. And I would have to just get curious, send myself love, and be like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's try something different.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I go with my partner and the sex has failed over and over again, she's usually gone by that time.
You only get 2 or 3 tries.
I mean,
So
Well, yeah, go ahead.
how do you go from what you were, you're in a science lab, you're doing chemistry experiments. How do you go from that to, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to, did you know when you left chemistry and neuroscience that you were moving on to sex?
No, I did not. I
Okay.
had no idea.
You just said
Yeah,
fuck it one
I did.
day.
okay. What was that driver that made you
Yeah.
say fuck it? Good sex?
I'm out of here.
You know, I was living a really, I've tried to figure this out over the years, but basically, I was living a really unhealthy life. I was cut off from the neck down. I was suppressing my emotions. I was suppressing my body. And I had really high anxiety. I had chronic fatigue. I was drinking too much. And
What? Wait, what? Hold on.
no.
That's apple juice.
I love old fashions, and a good glass of wine. So yeah. Yes, please continue. But you know, sometimes it's too much, right? It was just too much.
Yeah.
And I and my marriage was really filled with anguish and challenging. And I had finished my postdoctoral fellowship and I was looking around for what to do next. And I was just like, I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore. It was like one day my heart sort of broke through the barrier and just said, I just kept getting this message, you are not supposed to do this. I didn't believe in messages. It was
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
And I had also been going to Burning Man for many years. So I had
Okay.
had like really profound experiences at Burning Man of how to relate in a different way.
Okay.
It was based on like my full body and not just trying to figure everything out with my mind. And I think it like cracked my armor, you know?
Sure. So am I allowed to ask, are these psychedelic experiences? Or is that something you don't want to talk about?
Well, that's a good question. You know, when I was a chemist at MIT, I certainly encountered psychedelics way
Yeah.
back then.
I can imagine. You guys know what you're taking with that. Like,
Yeah. But actually, my most profound experiences at Burning Man were sober.
okay, that's awesome.
Oh, and how
Yeah.
does that come about? I've never talked, meaning someone that's never been to Burning Man, and you just assume you take psychedelics and dance around all day naked. I mean, that's my vision of it. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I definitely did some version of that my first couple years when I went, right?
High five.
Yeah, it's great. And then at some point you're like, wait a minute. It's a lot. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of being hungover all the time. And it's overwhelming. There's a lot happening. What would it be like if I just was with myself? Because honestly, it's so intense. It's enough. You don't need any other substance.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. The
Okay.
environment itself kind of gives you that space
Overload.
to kind of find yourself without the psychedelics, I would imagine, just because of what's going on there. The peace
Right.
and love and
Yeah, and I wanted to be brave and try new things without any chemical aid. And I was also in a camp where we were practicing authentic relating, which means really noticing what's true for you in the moment, how you're feeling, and then communicating compassionately.
okay.
And that was like a whole new thing for me, but you can't do that if you're high.
So go back to
Your
when you.
face looks weird.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
I mean,
You're like,
your belly button's talking to me. Okay, so before you went to Burning Man, and I got so many questions. So when you're talking before about suppressing your body down or your head down, right?
yeah,
Was that
yeah.
all you, or was that partially you and your husband having you suppress, or a partner suppressing that part of you,
No, I think,
or all
well,
yourself?
it was me. I came from a world, a very strict world that saw emotions as weak, the body as a distraction to the real purpose of life, which is to produce, to succeed, to earn money, and to just operate like a well-oiled machine at all times.
Okay.
And more and more and more, always up. And
Yep.
if you have to rest, you are weak,
Mm.
like you're a failure. It was a very intensive sort of mindset I somehow had in my brain. And then at MIT, it was really, really hard, right? It was intense, and
I
all
bet.
that mattered was your mind. There was no class at all in how to be a healthy human, nothing whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was just like, how many math problems can you solve? You know?
Yeah.
And then getting my PhD in chemistry, it was still mostly a man's world. And so I really, in order to be respected, I felt like I had to just pretend I was a man.
Which we suppress our feelings and our emotions. So
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Some of you do.
we used to.
We cry all the time on this. Well, you do.
I do.
Aw.
I do.
Yeah, so that's why. And then,
Um,
that's not a sustainable way to live. So I'm so
Right.
grateful that my heart was like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
and that you listen to it. That's the best part, is that you listen to it. How many people go through life never listening to their.
It was hard. Yeah, I felt embarrassed, ashamed. What is my family going to think walking away from a 10-year science career? My dad was like, you're throwing away your MIT education. It was hard.
Yeah.
I bet, but it's working out. That's what it seems like. So
Yes,
that's what matters. And look at
I
that
am much
smile.
happier now, and I'm clearly doing what I'm meant to be doing. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was outstanding. It was like I came alive when I
Yeah.
left.
So you're at Burning Man.
Or what brought you to Burning Man? What made you to go to Burning?
Oh, well, I mean, so I was at MIT in this community of like rebels and weirdos and freaks, and everyone already knew about Burning Man, right? And then when I moved to Berkeley to do my PhD, it was the number one PhD program in the world for organic chemistry, by the way. Um, it's just a cultural phenomenon here in the Bay Area, It's just like that's what you do. You go to Burning
Man?
Man. So
Okay.
Yeah. So you're
yeah.
so you're at Burning Man and you decide this isn't. Did you decide at Burning Man this is not the life for me? I want to do something else, or was that?
It was a combination of things. It was like going kind of crazy in lab. Like I had always wanted to be a professor, but I didn't see a clear way forward. And I watched my advisor deal with really cruel academic politics and backstabbing. And I also just didn't see myself getting behind any particular idea in chemistry and getting funding for it, you have to really sell your idea. And I don't know, I just
Okay.
wasn't getting the yes.
Okay.
But what else do you do with a chemist? Like, everybody wanted me to make drugs, but I am not, I am not made for a life of crime.
So you and Walter White wouldn't get along, is what you're saying.
No. Although I understand that series.
Or you and Pfizer, let's face it. I mean, where's the bigger criminal? But that's a different topic. So,
Yeah.
I think
so you go, you leave the lab and decide what's the next step.
Well, I honestly didn't know, but I came home from Burning Man and I was like, I had had this profound experience of a new way of being with authentic relating, and I was like, I can't commute and sit in lab or sit in a cubicle. This can't be my life. I can't do it. And I talked about it with my friends. At the time, I was terrified. I was like, if I take a gap year, will anyone ever hire me again? I mean, I was just in that, like, conservative work until you die mentality. And then I talked about it with my husband, and he was like, no, let's go.
So where do you go from there? Where does life take you at that point?
Uh, well, I went traveling for a year, and what I decided to do was to, on purpose, do things that scared me.
Okay.
Um, yeah, or things that I would normally resist.
Yeah,
Because,
I've seen you mention that,
Yeah.
saying yes to things that scare you. Yeah.
yeah, so like I was basically a reflexive no. I was like, oh, hell no to so many things in life, like anything to do with spirituality, like just getting out of my comfort zone. I was like, no. Um, so, I went on my first meditation retreat. I uh, did contact improvisation dance in the country of Georgia,
Oh,
which
wow.
is yeah, we,
Wait, what?
I lived on a permaculture farm outside and built mud houses, in Thailand, and did Kundalini in Bali. Like, I went to India for the first time, and that really
Wow.
scared me. Uh, so I went to Peru and tried ayahuasca.
So how do we get into what I called earlier sex science at this point? When does that transition happen? And where in the world are you at this point that it happens? Because it sounds like you've been pretty much everywhere.
Thanks. Well, good question. So one of the things I was a hell no to was Tantra.
Okay, wow.
It had a terrible reputation to me. It just seemed kind of sleazy and weird, and just kind of like, ugh, like the aesthetics were not the sort of aesthetics that I like. And, but some of my friends were teaching at this Tantra school in Asia, and they were like, why don't you just come do a workshop? And I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I looked at it and I was like, I'm gonna hate that. And then I thought, well, I guess I have to do it then.
There you go,
It
right?
goes along with the things you hate list, yeah?
Yes, things
Scares
I
you.
hate.
They're scared.
And then everything changed. So it was really beautiful because as a scientist, I started asking a lot of questions. I was like, where did this come from? Like, who's teaching this? Where do these teachings show me? Because I didn't want to just believe some random dude. I was like, have you studied feminism? Like, who are you? Like, what biases are you filtering this through, right? And
Sure, yeah.
so I started asking a lot of questions, and I found like the original tradition of Tantra, which has nothing to do with sex and intimacy and everything to do with like awakening. And it's a meditative practice like Buddhism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, with my brain, I really needed to know that there was something real here, something sophisticated, something well thought out.
Yeah.
And so I found the books where people were writing about, they were really trying to understand the nature of reality, the nature of mind, and they wrote a very sophisticated non-dual metaphysics 1,000 years ago in books that are called tantras.
Okay. There we are back
And
to that physics word.
yeah, exactly. You guys are good. Um, so I discovered like the real depth of it and the beauty and um,
all through the workshop, or did you take away from and do more homework after the workshop?
Oh no, that was in the ensuing years, in the next over the next 4 years.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Okay. Okay. So you weren't
Um,
sold during this workshop quite yet, or were you?
I had like an unusual experience in the ritual at the end that changed my whole, it like reconnected my mind and my body.
Okay.
I just had like, it's like I stepped into my power, and instead of trying to be like a man, I relaxed into, oh, it could be fun to be in a female body.
As you should. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thanks for
that
sharing that.
changed.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And so I, had my own deep inner awakening, and then I decided to stay at the school and study because my husband and I were getting divorced and I didn't have a job yet. And I was like, well, I could stay in Asia and do these really cool esoteric studies, or I could go back to San Francisco and be poor and try to find a tech job. Like, what? Why?
Yeah, right. I think you made the right decision.
Yeah.
What what part of Asia were you in?
In Southeast Asia.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was that journey? Did you come home, gather your stuff, or just say, I'm not coming home for a while? And how long were you there?
Yeah, I came home and got my stuff, and then I moved back and I stayed, you know, they had a 4 year curriculum. I did the whole 4 years, but I would go back and forth, to California every year for a few months. But I was really going to the school for around 7 years. And I lived in Thailand, India, and Bali during that time, and just studied full time, both the awakening, like meditative practices, as well as the modern Americanized sexual practices. And then also there, it was like a full program of personal development work. So that's where I learned like emotional intelligence, conscious communication, shadow work, all the things like attachment theory, trauma, all of these things that we teach now.
all these things are. See, I told you she was smart.
Smart, yeah. I'm just sitting there going,
I've
wait a
been-
minute. I'm hearing she went through MIT, then 7 years here, 4 years there, and I'm going, you're like 29. How did you fit all this in? When did you start?
She's Doogie Howser.
Makes
Thanks,
sense.
y'all.
Now I get
Thanks.
it. Now I get it. A marriage in there. What's going on?
So before we go any further with the career stuff, what was your favorite part? What was your favorite part of Southeast Asia? What was your favorite? Where would you go back if you could?
Well, so I really don't like doing touristy things.
Okay.
What I like to do when I travel is to find a little enclave of expats, people who really live there, and to like live there.
Oh,
Um, so, you know, I just like to find where it's quiet and beautiful and there's good food and I can relax. So those places are kind of, harder to find.
The beaten path.
Yeah. You have to kind of look for it and
yeah.
know people and spend some time there. But
Isn't that
there
so
are
true though, when you go to some places that when you can find good food, it just wants to keep you there. And it just enlightens your experience, I think. It's just so good.
totally. Yeah.
We're going to Belize for our third time in January, and we stay in a little like a little small town with expats and the locals, and
Right.
there's a chef G who will shout out here. We went the first year we were there. We went to his restaurant, and it's just this little hole, and he cooks on
Yeah.
this little kitchen stove. And I've had the best food I've ever had in my life. And
Yeah.
we ended up there a second time that trip, another time last year, and we'll definitely be going back. So we get it. That's definitely how we travel to go and find the off the beat path stuff and
Yeah.
hang with the locals or hang with the expats. And yeah.
You get it. Well, I will say one of my favorite places is Rishikesh in northern India.
Okay, yeah.
It's right up against the Himalayas and where the Ganges first emerges from the mountains, and it's such a powerful place of Shiva, associated with Shiva, but it's also just gorgeous and powerful. And like Indians go on vacation there,
Oh wow.
and it's really fun, unusual place in the world.
Okay, cool. I have to remember that.
So you spend 4 to 7 years getting educated in this, and you come back to why do you come back? It's just I'm sorry, that question just dawned on me. Why do you come back to the US?
Well, I thought about it for a long time. I was like, do I want to permanently be an expat and live in Asia?
Yeah,
And I have to say that for me, I haven't, I really miss the confluence of really smart intellectual people who are also interested in spirituality, but not in an ungrounded way, that you find in the Bay Area. I hadn't found anyone else in the whole world who was really deep in both of those, like both really legitimately smart
yeah.
and doing groundbreaking new things, and also interested in the bigger spiritual questions and mysteries of life.
Yeah.
The expats on this little island where I was living in Thailand, they were not my intellectual, they were not intellectuals for the most part.
Sure, sure.
And I was like, who do I want to be surrounded by for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And I missed California. It just always felt like home. I missed the hot springs and the festivals and my old friends and the smell of the eucalyptus. There's just something that calls to my soul here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you get the best of both worlds. You got your learning, you can bring it home and you can share it. Now you're sharing.
Yeah, exactly.
And coaching.
Yeah, and it's good. What?
And coaching.
Yes.
You've
Yes.
gone into coaching. I thought just men, but I also saw on your website you do couples coaching as well, which I would love to talk to you about because
Yeah.
the more you talk about Tantra, and I do feel like my wife and I are very much into that. We just didn't know we were into that. But
Yes, exactly.
it's I get it. I just never knew that that's what
Halfway there.
yeah. So now we just
Yeah.
got to figure out the rest. But how do you get into coaching and what does the coaching entail?
Well, thanks for asking. So, okay, when I was living at the Tantra school, I did a 6 month teacher training to be like that was my first Tantra teacher certification, right? So we studied like how do you stand up on stage and answer questions and present material and like all the things, right? And we did deep training and shadow work and to make sure that we had the embodied lived experience of what we teach.
Okay.
And part of the homework for that was I had to go out to restaurants on the island and talk to strangers about their sex lives.
Wait, cold turkey?
Oh boy.
You approach them and say, hey,
Yes.
how was your sex last night?
Yes.
All right. How,
I know, right? But
how
it was
does that go over?
I don't know. I guess I've been a teacher for years because
I dare you. I mean, it was a pretty fun island. There were lots of yogis and people studying Tantra or massage. It was like chill, right? People were on vacation there.
Okay.
And so I started doing this and I realized I fucking love this. This is the best thing ever.
Which part really got you is what their responses or them opening up to you?
Yeah, well, okay, so for me, it may not seem like it now, but I really had a lot of social anxiety and I was really pretty nerdy and trying to always like control the conversation or have to say the right thing or come from the brain. But
Okay.
with these conversations, it went deep really fast.
Sure. Yeah. You're getting vulnerable really quick.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
It felt really meaningful.
Sure.
And the kinds of questions that they asked me, I realized that because I had 10 years of experience exploring sexuality in the Bay Area, because there's lots of like underground play parties and people pushing the boundaries in sexuality in the Bay.
Yeah.
And then because of my experience at the Tantra school with like sacred sexuality, I realized at this point I had a breadth of knowledge and experience and I could hold whatever they brought me.
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, I think I could be someone who could bring a lot of compassion and healing to the kinds of questions that were coming up to these people.
Okay.
So
Did
I
you
guess
ever-
I felt, yeah, go ahead.
Really, did you ever have an experience go wrong?
You mean interviewing people?
Yeah, with like these cold turkey running up to them and just over.
I really didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
You
You know,
it's-
maybe I have an advantage being like a blonde woman, but
I was just gonna say,
I can't go to ask people how their sex was last night. I can tell you that right
if
now.
he walked up to them and said, "How was your sex life last night?" They would probably have a different reaction than a pretty girl like you approaching them.
I don't sound
probably
like that.
probably presented a little different.
I
Well,
don't sound like
I,
that.
I don't remember what question I led off with, but it wasn't that question. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Right. And I was gonna say, I mean, if you can get people to open a little bit, everybody loves talking about sex, right? So
Yes.
it's fun to talk about sex.
Yeah, and as soon as they even realize it's safe, I mean, people are so ready. They like really want to have someone they can talk about this with.
Yeah. If there's anything I can get better at in this world, I'll pick sex. Help me get better at sex.
Right?
You can never get good enough. So
This is true. This is true. Should never stop exceeding and practicing.
that's right.
So then after that, I was like, this is great, and I want like a different teacher, like a Western teacher, a more modern teacher, not just the teachers from this school. So then I did my first 600-hour, like it was over a year-long training in coaching, in sex, love, and relationship coaching, with my first teacher. And I've done 4 more years of training since then. So because I really wanted to get it right. I really, I'm an academic, credentials matter to me. So I didn't just want to do this in a hand wavy way.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, if you're going to MIT for your chemistry degree, you're probably picking the best training or education you can get in this as well.
Yeah, thank you. So it was fun actually. I really I love learning. Give me the subject and I will learn the crap out of it.
I love it.
I sense that till the end of your days, you'll never stop learning.
Yeah.
It seems like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like the
Good for
line,
you.
learn the crap out of it.
But then, I was nervous, right? I mean, I was just a chemist, and then to be switch into more of a therapeutic sort of role, I really wanted to hold people well and not cause harm. And so you can imagine the first time you're in session and like, what do you say? How do you structure it? What do you do? And so, but I got a lot of training in that. And then what I realized was it's just precious. It makes life meaningful to hold space for people every day this way. It's such an honor, and it's a big responsibility too.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I mean, that's obviously one of the most, if not the most important part of our lives is our relationships with our significant others. So when you're trying to help somebody in that realm, it's not like trying to fix their dishwasher, right? Like you fuck up their dishwasher. Oh, well, we'll get a new dishwasher. So
You get a new wife. What's that?
well, I've gotten 3 of them. I'm up to 3, so but this one's gonna stick.
Well, what I heard from you right there was an honor, and that's pretty cool to hear from you. That it's an honor for you to,
Yeah.
help with their lives. That's pretty cool.
That's what we like to think we're doing here,
yeah.
helping.
And you go by Dimples in the Beard. Those are your official names.
No, I'm Dean. That's Kevin.
Dean.
Yeah.
Kevin. Oh, hi.
Well, what's funny is not a lot of people actually ask.
No.
We've had a handful, and normally what I've noticed is the people that ask are normally I hate to insult anybody, but are a little higher on the intellectual scale than some are. Like it's just.
He's like, all right, I'm done calling him.
Hey,
We just get a freaking name here.
Well, so
like we've had Susan Bratton. I don't know if you know Susan Bratton.
yes. She lives near me. She's
Okay,
friends
we've had
of
her on a
friends.
couple times.
Okay.
And the first question she asked us was, "What's your real name?" Like, I'm not calling you that. And like that makes sense.
And I mean, you guys seem like the way you talk, maybe you're heterosexual. I don't know, but the Dimples in the Beard thing reminds me a lot of queer culture in the Bay Area.
Oh, that was the first.
We're both heterosexual, but
We've been
I-
called, we've been called gay fellers
Oh,
before,
yeah,
but
yeah, people have assumed.
but the way you explained it, Nicole, yeah, that's the first time that's come about.
Yeah,
And what and how is that? Dimples in the beard? Do you mean by like a gay man having a wife as his beard? Is that what you meant by that?
I think just the level of like bromance or playfulness. Really, yeah, the playfulness with the names and the style. Yeah, I've been to enough like gay dive bars.
No, as have we, honey.
Is that
Okay, I knew it.
is that one of the greatest compliments we've ever gotten?
It is.
Reminder of a gay dive bar?
Yeah,
We love
exactly.
we love all of the above.
Shout out to the roundabout. I think I still have drink tokens I want from there.
I'm glad that went well.
Yeah, no, we who doesn't love a gay bar? They're great. They're so much fun. So
Absolutely.
we actually got named by a flight attendant. So
Oh,
she,
great.
when we were coming off a plane, she went, "Oh, look, here comes Dimples in the beard," or something. And so when we went to start this thing, that's where it actually comes from. We don't call each other that.
Unless we're dead.
Oh, darn. Really?
Yeah. I mean, I usually don't call them anything even remotely that nice. So
No, never nice. It's never nice.
we only like each other for the 60 minutes around this thing. So.
Do some outtakes behind the scenes then. I want to see.
So what is coaching with Dr. Jessica Gold involve? What if I'm a single guy, I can come to you. If I'm a married guy who's maybe the marriage is not ideal, or I can come to you, or couples. So let's start with the single guy. What does a single guy get when he comes to the coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So usually single men come either because they've had a traumatic divorce and their confidence is in the gutter and they were married for 20 or 30 years and they want to understand women better and
She
get a
beat
handle
him
on.
down and made him feel like sorry. Post-traumatic syndrome.
Yeah. And they want to get a handle on this crazy dating world, modern dating world. So I love working with really successful men in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I even had a man in his 70s, I think he turned 80, who found the love of his life
Oh,
through this work. Yes,
that's awesome.
yes.
So-
She's actually a Tantra teacher. Also,
Where
yes.
can I meet one?
Good for you. Sign up for her coaching.
So you talk about the tech and the like gearing towards tech and nerdy and successful. What about a plumber? Are they for you, or would you send them to somewhere else?
Well, I mean, they might not be able to access my rates.
Okay.
But I have a lot of really affordable on-demand programs he could take. I have a Tantra Foundations course online that's 6 weeks. He could take a communications course called Love Communication,
Okay.
a Tantra massage course. Yeah. So, and then I also have an AI version of me. So my partner and I, we co-founded a tech company, an AI company last year where he created an AI version of me. So I have an app where I uploaded all my wisdom, my life story, my coaching methodology. So he could subscribe to her and get coached by her.
Okay. So it's more of that not you geared towards that. I was thinking the narrow your brain and something about
Okay.
you geared towards men that way.
Yeah, I do.
No?
So when I started my business, I was like, I never had a single class on how to be a healthy human, and it caused a lot of trouble in my marriage and led to divorce. And I remember what it was like being stuck in my head in lab, and I really wanted to reach out to all the nerdy men of the world who are scientists, engineers, even in finance, founders, investors, who are really left-brained, who maybe, like me, I felt it was shameful to study relating or to study sex. I thought like you're a failure if you don't already know everything. But I only learned all the good stuff after my divorce, and I was like, why the fuck did nobody tell me this beforehand?
Right.
And so I was really outraged, and also nobody told me how great sex could be. Right? Nobody ever told me about like what's possible, the magic that's hidden in our bodies, and the special abilities you have as a woman, also the special abilities that men have. And once I saw that and unlocked it within me, I was like, this is so powerful. I can't believe it's been hidden. So I was pissed and I'm like, I'm gonna teach this.
So okay, so go back to that period. Your girlfriends, which I'm assuming were in the same your class or whatever. So you
Yeah.
didn't talk about sex amongst yourselves back then, and now are you sharing all that with your friends that you had back then, or did you find
Oh
new,
yeah,
new
definitely.
sex friends?
Both. So a lot of my old
Both.
classmates from MIT were like, I want your help. I don't trust anyone else in this field, but I trust you because you're a scientist. You went to MIT. I know that you're logical. Um, yeah. So, but I want to get back to, sorry, what was your name? Dave?
Dean.
Dean. Okay.
Yep.
Dean's question. So if you come to coach with me, basically I retrain your brain so that you feel more confident, you know how to handle your emotions, and you truly understand women so that you make them happy. I teach you how to feel confident and powerful as a man. It's really fucking fun. It's all on Zoom unless you sign up and you get the VIP day included. So we can do like a whole day long drop in together.
Oh,
But I teach you how to feel powerful as a man, to run different energies through your body, and essentially like how to, it's like retraining your brain, changing your body, and then changing your mindset about women and dating so that you're like set up for success.
okay.
Okay, powerful.
That's what you need. Well, you don't need the confidence. You got the, what do you do with the guy who has too much confidence? Can you train that down?
Yeah, so
What are you talking
we
about?
we call that being like slightly one up on the self-esteem spectrum. Maybe you're like, so if health is in the middle, like if you're too far up, that's also a problem. So sometimes you need to come back into relationality, come back into humility. Yeah. But I don't do this through talking. Even though it's all on Zoom, I lead you in practices with your body, your breath, your subconscious. It's
Okay.
really powerful. And there's all science to back it up. It's awesome. I feel like when I do tantric energy work with you, it's like the tantrics understood our nervous system before we had science.
Okay.
They were such careful observers of like what it means to be human that they mapped out the nervous system before we even knew what I mean, had the words for nerves or anything.
Okay. So let me ask the stupid question now that you say that. When we
Mhm.
talk about how if we like touch the bottom of our foot in a certain spot, we get like a feeling of, is that what you're kind of talking about? How they had mapped it all out like that?
Yeah, I think well they basically just knew that if you put your awareness in different parts of your body, you can change how your nervous system is functioning,
Okay.
right? You can change your experience of reality. And they created a map there. It's called like the nadis, the chakras, the bindus,
Oh,
all these
yeah.
Sanskrit words, right? You
Right.
maybe have heard them in yoga. Yep.
Again,
Um,
yoga.
mhm.
I did yoga.
You're ahead of the game.
I don't anymore, but I did for about a year.
Start over.
I should.
So it's like if you breathe into your heart and you direct your breath in and out of the heart, even if it physically doesn't go in and out, you can intend for it to. Or your heart chakra, which is the middle of the chest, you can actually start to notice coming into connection with your heart and listening. Like, does it feel grief? What does it need from you? Does it feel walled off? So it's more like that way of working.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So a lot to do with your emotion.
Um,
Or am I missing that?
I don't want to say that because I think it turns men off.
Oh, well, I was leading, it was gonna lead me into that you're the master of emotions. And how do you conquer the master of emotion,
Yes.
especially as a man?
Yes. So first, I give you really high quality information so your brain understands that we are essentially emotional beings. Our body is running a lot of processes at fractions of a second of speed that are below our conscious mind. And it includes all this information from our gut, our heart, from the right hemisphere of our brain. And none of those systems speak in words, they speak in feelings. And feelings are what tell our brain what muscles to send blood to. So our yeah, so emotions are incredibly important. They help us make sense of the world, keep ourselves safe. They help us make decisions.
Okay.
Um, so I help you start to accept emotional information as valid information in addition to the logical left brain information.
Makes sense.
The Tantra that I practice, we work with the three main centers of knowing. It's the brain, the heart, and a combination of the sexual center and the lower belly.
Okay,
Okay.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, so we integrate the wisdom and the information from all 3 points.
Okay. And is
And
it part of that letting go and accepting it, like letting your emotions just release?
well, part of the like really cool sort of Jedi Knight work of Tantra is you like that?
I'm not talking about you.
It's noticing that emotions are just energy. Like they're not good or bad if you don't label them. It's just like, oh, this is a sensation or an energy in my body. And energy just wants to move. So the tantric approach is to say, if I allow this to move through me, what happens? Like maybe it wants to dissipate down into the earth, maybe it wants to go up into the sky or move through your arms. But if I just don't attach to it and just breathe it through me, then it's no longer controlling me or my experience or my relationship. I am now in charge.
Okay.
And
So,
it's so powerful when you can do that.
so is there any part of that with grounding?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So a lot of us are like right now I have bare feet and I'm like grounding my energy into the floor as I'm talking to you so that I don't get too like this.
Okay. So you can go ahead and then I'll.
So I often teach men to like come back into connection with the earth, like growing roots down through their feet and breathing the nervous head energy like
Mhm.
down into the earth and just doing that silently when you're talking to a woman or when you're having an argument with your spouse or your partner so that again that head energy is not in charge. You're in charge. Your wise adult self is in charge because you've grounded.
Was grounding more releasing or letting it in? I guess I may have had that all opposite.
Well, I mean, there's practices for both.
Okay.
And what I like about Tantra is the map is not the territory. Like the Indians practice Tantra one way, the Tibetans a different way, the Japanese a different way, the Buddhists a different way.
Sure.
So it's like there's different maps for different cultures. And I teach you one, but I also want you to figure out like what actually works for your body.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then now this is my last grounding question is because you said you, as you said, you can do that to a hardwood floor. You don't have to be outside touching the earth.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Even my butt is on this cushion on this chair. I can grow roots from like my pelvic floor down into the earth.
If I can ground out my butt, I'm not in for it all day long.
What's We have an MIT PhD organic chemist on here. Jesus. I don't even know what that meant.
I don't either. I just wanted to say it.
All right, let's get into training couples. Let's
Yeah.
get into training couples and what you offer couples because
Mhm.
I'm having the best sex I've ever had in my life, but again,
Woo!
it can always be better. Let's talk about better.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. So I often have couples come to me in sexless marriage. Sometimes it's the pattern of the woman is disconnected from her erotic self and the man wants more sex. I mostly work with heterosexual cisgendered couples, by the way.
Sure.
And I'm not opposed to others, but that's who comes. But I often also work with men who have sexual shame, and it's the men who are shut down, and their wife wants more. So either way,
Like Peg Bundy. If you watch
right,
Married with
right.
Children.
That was an ancient door in my brain. It opened.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's so cool. I forgot about that show. So it depends on
Who's the
what's
victim
going
in
on.
that?
So normally couples just haven't been taught anything. Like I wasn't taught anything, and they think it should just be natural, and they're caught. So what I usually see is they're caught in a pattern, and it's the pattern that's the problem. I'm not here to assign blame to either person. So it's like the more he pursues, the more she withdraws. The more she withdraws, the more he pursues, right? It's the more, the more, the more, the more. One of my teachers, Terry Real, talks about that a lot. He's a famous couples therapist. So I will teach you to defuse that pattern, communicate better in a way that goes under all the words and goes straight to the heart. I will teach you to help each other collaborate and regulate emotions like you're on the same team together. So many times it's like a zero-sum game, like if she wins, I lose or something. But actually, you need to pull your chair around the table and be a team. You're collaborating in this life, this weird life thing together.
True. Yeah.
And then I teach often like non-sexual connection practices. So I've had men like bless them like come to me and say it never occurred to me in my whole marriage to ever touch my wife for any other reason other than for it to lead to sex.
Yeah.
But if you have this very goal-oriented way, she will withdraw from you. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So I
Starts
teach
to feel a little
non-sexual.
sleazy, right? Like, you know
Yeah,
what's up. Like,
right, exactly.
yeah.
But it just didn't occur to him like, oh, wait, we could just touch and it doesn't have to go anywhere. So I'll teach non-sexual connection practices. I'll teach flirting, like how to court your wife, how to flirt with her in ways that really delight her, turn her on, how to tease her a little bit every day so she starts to awaken. I teach about the science of women's arousal system. And then I teach you tantric, neo-tantric rituals that you can do together as lovers. I teach you step by step, like how to have different kinds of sex, what to do, different rituals. It's so fun.
Sounds like you really enjoy your job now.
Oh my God, I love it. I am so grateful.
But it goes back to what you said. I mean, really, with sex, no one's losing. I
Right.
mean, if you
Right.
just got to give in. I think sometimes men have that. Well, she's being forward. I need to be the one, so it's not right or something. And it's okay for let them be pursuing. You know, they have needs too,
Yeah.
and they are
Abs-
different beings. They have a different system to get going.
Yeah,
Absolutely. The science of women's arousal. Now that sounds like a class that every man should take. I don't care
I
if you
know.
I don't care if you think you're good at it.
Mandatory.
Right. This should be mandatory. Like
Yes.
learning it like yeah. You make it mandatory. Where can people take this class?
Oh, well, I mean, you can learn it in coaching with me.
There you go.
I like it.
And how do they contact you? How could they contact you? Where can they find you? Let's get that out of the way.
Really the easiest thing is email me, Jessica at bliss-science.com. Jessica at bliss-science.com. You can also go to my website. There's all kinds of links there to contact. There's a contact me page. It's bliss-science.com.
We'll make sure we put all this in the description. So they can get to it straight from there.
Great.
Where do they find you on Instagram? It's Bliss Science on Instagram as well?
Yeah, at bliss.science
Bliss Science, okay.
on
And
Instagram.
that is you founded the company Bliss Science, which is kind of your whole. Is there
Like
any?
combination of the two, bliss and science.
Yeah, it seems
got
like
Nailed it. All right. It makes up for my dumb butt comment.
no,
Does it? A little bit?
well, a little bit, I guess.
I think you need one more.
Yeah, and you're on a clock. She's got a heart out, so you better start thinking.
Too much pressure.
Well, thank you so much. This is obviously, like I said, one of the smartest conversations we've had and very interesting. And
Very informal.
we could talk to you forever and ever because I feel like so many of the things that you mentioned, I feel like that's a topic you could do a podcast on all by itself. So if you had a good time, you ever want to come back, we'll definitely do it again and maybe break down into some of the actual individual kind of categories.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on. Thanks for your smart questions. And it was so much fun to meet you.
She was looking at me when she said that.
I couldn't make up. I couldn't think of another one. Damn it. Forever.
Well, thank you so much. Like I said, we really enjoyed it. And,
Yeah.
we definitely got a little educated tonight, so that's always a good thing.
It was a pleasure meeting you. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Mine as well. All right.
right.
Bye for now.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. The tavern is closed for now, but we'd love to have you back for more fun next time. Seriously though, get your asses out of here.